Hold on now, hold on a minute. You're going to cut this part anyway. Hello, sir. Don't worry about me at all. Do it when I say okay. I'm directing right now. Ali is my teacher. Hello, sir. Where are you? You're awesome. Sir, I love you.
Thanks,
I
sweetie.
wish you ease.
Thank you. Now you reach out your hand and I start.
Yes. Let's go.
Friends, energy is a very important thing. Look, Russia is freezing Europe, but our patient isn't freezing us. Energy is important. The foundation started to be seen about 13, 14 years ago, but we added something every day. We've been applying it in a fully refined way for the last 6, 7 years.
And then this anchoring technique began to satisfy you. I understand, Professor. That's why we as patients found ourselves more drawn to it.
In my opinion, it has two best aspects. Firstly, the result is very natural. The second thing is that the need for a revision should be low. So, the chance of needing another surgery is very low.
The reason for this is that you don't touch the cartilage, right, sir?
No, we do touch the cartilage, but we don't disrupt the integrity of the cartilage tissue. It maintains its naturalness. The stitching techniques you apply are essentially what provide that strength. That's the point that ensures it. Because many of my doctor friends also use such stitching techniques, but not every stitching technique or every suture. A suture that shapes the cartilage may not yield successful results. There are some key points. In essence, there is no longer an ear that truly challenges this technique. Now, I always tell patients that if you leave the choice of technique to me without even seeing the ear, I would choose the anchor technique. It achieves successful results in almost 99.9% of ears and does so without difficulty. Sometimes I jokingly make bets with young patients whose families are out of town. I suggest that if you're going to visit your family in 3-4 months, don't mention that you've had surgery. They won't notice your operation.
There's something, a certain beauty.
They can't perceive the change in the ear, because when you really look at it, we try to mimic nature or creation, which ensures that it goes unnoticed.
Our ear has its own form, dear Professor. As far as I understand, without altering that form, it is positioned in a way that is closest to its original form.
When you perform the Y fold without cutting the ear cartilage, yes. Could you kindly open this Y fold a bit? By creation, dear outer voice, there is now a fold in the shape of the letter Y inside the ear. God creates almost everyone like that. The intensity of those folds of the letter Y varies from person to person, but we definitely see a Y shape here. Here is the tail of the Y, the upper leg and the lower leg. Now we have formed the upper leg of the Y in our patient. We have made the lower leg more pronounced. The tail part was already there. We didn't touch that area. Now, when we make this letter Y, we are in any case. We are reaching a more beautiful result. In terms of naturalness, we are achieving a beautiful outcome. Because creation is such that when we try to make something most similar and closest to creation, people can't quite grasp that it's handmade, that it is handmade or made later. In this method, I always tell patients this. You need to be patient for the first 2-3 weeks. Because we need to consider the margin for stretching, we should make it a bit closer than necessary. In the posts you share, you see children and patients say, "Doctor, isn't it very close?" We are doing it knowing that proximity because we know that the ear will open and stretch. Doing it by giving the allowance for stretching and opening already shows experience. Now, sometimes I both agree with and laugh at the comments on social media. Now, you've never had ear surgery before. You're looking at the picture. I've performed thousands of ear surgeries, and I'm an idiot. I accidentally make the ear too attached. You're very smart. You know everything better than I do.
It's necessary to allow for the margin of stretch. It's also necessary to show a little respect and reverence to the master.
Dear Turkish nation,
For sure.
we have started to diminish this respect. We have begun to neglect it. Respect does not mean belittling yourself. There is indeed some benefit in showing a little respect for experience, wisdom, and age. Let me convey this to you as a side note. Now, in this patient of ours, we have completed the shaping in the cartilage area above the ear. Now, just before we examine or operate, we evaluate together with our patient in front of the mirror how the shape will look during our examination. Our patient, I noticed that during the examination, they would prefer the earlobe to be slightly further back. Now we will move the earlobe a little further back like this. I'm saying this for a reason. Please, when we are examining you, tell us your requests while we explain them to you in front of the mirror. If your requests are reasonable, logical, and feasible, yes, we won't disappoint you. But if you say, hey doc, take my earlobe and attach it next to my nose, sure. Now, when taking the earlobe mersenne, I always explain to patients that the top point, middle point, and earlobe should be on the same line. For instance, right now your earlobe is misaligned, it's turned forward. Now I'm slowly moving it back. The adjustment is in my hands. I can take as much as I want or as little as I want. This is what they call experience. They call it the key point. This tension is sufficient for me, and here I am tying it off, and I am making the ear straight. The earlobe should not be too forward. We shouldn't tilt it too far back either. It also has its own deformations, of course. I mean, really there.
We have to abandon your experience
There's no
there.
written rule for this. It's entirely about intuition. Let's be flexible, my brother Ilkay.